All praises due to the Most High, family. We back with another Acres anime review. I just finished watching, family, episode 5 of Sentenced to be a Hero. And family, what I realized watching this episode is that in the last review, I forgot to touch on Venetim's backstory. And they touched on it in this episode, so I'm glad. So we get to revisit it really quickly. Basically, family, the TLDR of Venetim is that he wrote an article, right, that he knew to not be true, but and remember, he's a mentalist, so he's good at persuasion and manipulation. He can make you believe things that you wouldn't otherwise believe. So he knew this article wasn't true, but the Holy Knights in the temple or the temple, this concerned them. They're like, oh, like does he know the truth? Right? So he basically put out this, too close to be, too close for comfort type conspiracy theory that the authority basically didn't like. And so that was the reason they sentenced him to be a hero. Okay. Now, and him and Xylo talk about it a little bit, but we're going to get there. Well, let's just talk about it since we're there. Xylo and Venetim had a conversation, because they're preparing to fight this demon lord. And so Venetim posed the question to Xylo. He said, hey, what if there was a group of people who wanted to coexist with the demon blights and demon lords? And what if they were working to further those ends, right? Like what type of things would they be doing? Is this something that they might prefer or benefit from if people like that existed? And at first Xylo's saying, hey man, I wrote your articles. Conspiracy theories aren't my thing. I don't really believe in it. And again, he's a mentalist. He's a king of persuasion, but Venetim kind of gets to Xylo. More on that later. Okay, but so family, we're having to lure a demon blight to this fortress, and they want us to basically kamikaze ourselves, sacrifice ourselves in order to take out this demon blight. So the plan is lure the demon blight to the fortress. The fortress has a bunch of barrels of poison. We even saw when Xylo and Kivia went to the fortress, right? Because we engaged the blights in this, the demon blight in this episode. We engaged the fairies in this episode that are coming to the fortress. After we engage them, Xylo and Kivia go to the fortress. There we run into a temple guy who's made a pact with the ninth goddess, and we met the ninth goddess, the poison goddess. Here's what I thought was interesting. That goddess is just like Teorita in that they want constant praise and head pats. The temple guy who made a pact with the ninth goddess, he's actually got a similar personality to Xylo, but he's willing to dote and praise his goddess. Whereas Teorita, she confronts Xylo. She says, I've been watching the Ninth Order work all day. And this is funny, family. She asked Xylo, can you believe that they gave her 7 head pats and you've not given me a single one? She's like, now I'm not asking for 7 right here and right now, but maybe like half of that is reasonable. She still doesn't get a head pat from Xylo and throws a fit, which was funny. But so we didn't get that head pat yet that she's looking for. Okay, but family, we also got Savs the newest member of our group. We got Saab's backstory as well. I mean, he's an assassin. He was not found to be remorseful for any of his crimes. But the only time he was very ready and willing to accept the death penalty. When they told him that he was sentenced to be a hero instead, he started losing it. He was so comfortable and was even like, when he thought he was facing a death sentence, he's like, hey man, I'm gonna enjoy the last few moments I got. When they told him that he was sentenced to be a hero, he, like, all the giddiness and whimsy that he had was out of there with a quickness, right? And I remember talking about this, what other episode? Oh, we're talking about immortality in Hell's Paradise. And think about how they frame being sentenced to be a hero in this series, family. They said, I have a punishment worse for you than death. Death is too good for you, right? Anyhow, not to talk about Hell's Paradise, but that made me think that you should not take the topic of immortality lightly. If you become immortal, that's an irreversible decision, family. You're stuck living forever, right? Anyhow, so let's talk about the engagement, like the battlefront here. So at first we had Sav and Dota basically sniping up front, engaging the scouts and lowering the numbers. We also had His Majesty, I forgot his name, but we had His Majesty, who's one of my favorite characters. He's on a peg leg now. He did not get his leg replaced, but he has a peg leg. As we're concerned, because we're looking for more bodies, more manpower, the miners, the men who were working in the mine that we saved a few episodes ago, they came to help. Oh my gosh. Now Xylo was like, hey man, don't come here to throw away your lives. Like, just go back home. Like, but the men are like, hey man, like, this is not something we can just sit back and idly watch, right? This is a battle we need to be involved in. But Xylo's just concerned for their safety. Now His Majesty says, all right, men, we're gonna use you, but we're not gonna put you in harm's way. So His Majesty basically uses them to create more sacred seals, to arm us better and give us better resources. And he came up with a guerrilla warfare strategy for them. That way they're safer than the heroes, right? Shoot, back up. Shoot, back up. Let's let the sacred seals work. And we were looking good for a second, family. At the very end of the episode, we find out Venatum was foreshadowing in this episode. We seen humans on these fairies. Remember fairies? Remember, family? Fairies are just like anything that's been infected by the demon blight. And so we're looking at like horse-like fairies. And so that's like the first wave that we're engaged with. But around the second wave, we start seeing humans on the backs of these fairies. Now, we've seen humans turn into fairies. That's not humans working with fairies, though. Those are victims of the fairies. Now, what we're possibly seeing is confirmation of Venatum's conspiracy. Like, hey, there is a group of people out there, and they are pursuing a reality where they are coexisting with the demon lord and demon blights. As far as we're concerned, that's the enemy. So obviously we need more insight as to why they want to do that, into who's doing that, into why they think they can do that. As far as we know, we can't really like communicate with the demon lords and demon blights. I don't know, family. Something here is really weird. About the Holy Knights in the Temple. A couple of the details, we found out that Kivia is she's a relative of a high-ranking temple person, which gives her position in the Holy Knights. Xylo thought she had a relationship to a former Holy Knight. The other thing, family, I thought was interesting very quickly was think about Sav, think about His Majesty, and think about their ego and how they're really like, they don't look up to anybody except Xylo. They'll kind of concede and defer to Xylo in a leadership fashion, whereas nobody else they'll give that deference to. All praises. Peace and love.